Alright, today I'll be explaining how to set up the headless client modules for any missions that will be run on the Antistatic community server using Werthles headless modules. Now, first of all, we need to set up our headless client slots, which can be found under System and Logic entities. If we just search headless client, and for this example, I'll be using 2, but you could go with 1, 3, or even 10 if you wish to. With that being said, you open the attributes of the slot by either double clicking on it or doing what I just did. Then you set it to playable. Playable. It must not be player. It must be playable. Then we give it a role name and a variable name. In this case, we will go with HC1 and HC1. Now, variable name and role name must be the exact same for the slots to work on our server. And the slot name and the variable name should also be HC and then a number. It must not be anything else. HC1, HC2. So for this example, we'll go with HC1 and then we'll open this and then do HC2 for this one and set it to playable as well. Once you've done that, that means you're basically done setting up the slots, and now it is time to set up the module. You just search for headless on the modules system, then you grab the WH setup module. We place that down and then we synchronize it to the slots. Once you've done that, you double click on it or right click and then attributes to configure it. Once you're in the configuration screen over here under attributes, you want to synchronize objects only to be HCs to be used. That means only the HC slots that are synchronized to the module will be used. Recurrent AI checks must be disabled as we do not use this on our server and it can cause a lot of problems. You can leave this as default because it's not being used since we disabled the recurrent AI checks. Access to debug for all must be disabled. Players do not need debug access. Advanced balancing, leave that enabled as basically it makes sure units are distributed equally between the two headless clients if you use the headless client. With that being said, start delay, usually 30 seconds is more than enough for everyone to load in, so we leave it at default. Silencing pause or syncing pause, you want that to be at 5 as 5 seconds between each time the headless clients will grab a group. It will grab a group and then it will wait 5 seconds and then it will grab another one. This ensures that things are not happening too quickly and causing lag. With that being said, you want setup reports to be enabled so the logged in admin can know if there is a problem, the headless client isn't able to do something, the reports will be there. Units to be ignored, you leave that empty as we have an ignore module we could use that I will explain in a minute. Debug, leave that as enabled so the logged in admin can access the debug mode and see which units are not being transferred and why. Debug only, disable that. That simply puts you only in debug mode, or at least I believe so. Put AI on server, you want to leave that disabled. The module can be a bit tricky at times when you tell it to put AI on server. And yeah, you wanna not put AI on server unless you really have to. In this case, don't. Just let the headless clients handle the AI. Now, with that being said, let's say you have some squads in your mission. Let's bring some fire teams in. Alright, once you've got those fire teams, once the mission starts, the headless clients will grab all of them and distribute them on those two headless clients slowly. But let's say you want Alpha 1.6 team to not be grabbed by the headless client for whatever reason. Let's say you have a script running, an animation, something that the headless client could potentially ruin. You go to modules, system, and search for the WH ignore module. You place the ignore module down and you make sure it's units to be ignored, groups of synchronized objects, or you could technically change it, but preferably leave it at that. And then you sync it to only one guy of the entire group, and this entire group will be left on the server. This is how you set up the ignore module, and this is how you set up the headless clients. Thanks for watching.